Hey Billy, today's episode is supported by the Queensland Children's Hospital Foundation. If you're a parent, you know there's nothing more important than home. It's where your kids feel safest, where they sleep best, where the snacks are, where the Lego somehow ends up everywhere in every single room. But for thousands of families every year, when a child becomes seriously unwell, home can suddenly feel very, very far away.
Yeah, this one's actually really close to my heart because I started my career up at what's now the Queensland Children's Hospital, an amazing group of people that are there. I've seen how incredible the care is there, but I also know that when a child is really sick, families need a lot more than medical treatment alone. The Queensland Children's Hospital Foundation helps fund things like research, therapy programs, life-saving equipment, and those small but important comforts like play spaces, support dogs, and library services, all designed to help kids and families feel less alone during a really tough time.
And 1 in 3 of the children they support travel from outside Greater Brisbane, some from hundreds or thousands of kilometres away from home. So this tax time, if you're in the position to help, you can support the Queensland Children's Hospital Foundation to help make hospitals feel more like home for sick kids and their families. Head to childrens.org.au/home to donate. Or we'll pop the link in the bio for Instagram anyway.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks so much to the Queensland Children's Hospital Foundation for the incredible work that you do.
Dr. Billy Garvey, episode 133 in the can. It is an absolute barn burner. I love this one. It's our reflection episode on the baby's arrival.
Yes, arrival of a baby. And it's, I think it was a really different one to anything we've ever done.
Completely
it was
different.
really focused on advice and reflection, and just it felt like this kind of big hug, didn't it? Of just
Totally.
vulnerability and honesty, but hope.
Heaps of people who were like, oh, I'm not sure if it was going to be for me. I've got a 3 and a 5-year-old. But they were like, God,
even some people that kids are adults.
Oh, there is a grandparent near the end. Don't skip to it. But you have to listen to it. Hilarious. Really funny.
Yeah.
It was really good with some inside jokes as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Guys, I hope you enjoy the episode. Dig in.
Hi, I'm Billy, a developmental paediatrician.
And I'm Nick, a developing parent.
We're going to use scenes from iconic movies to talk about how we best support our kids.
This is Pop Culture Parenting.
Hey, don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I don't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. I don't want to see anybody else either.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Just use your best judgment. We trust you.
Good evening, Dr. Billy Garvey. How are you?
Good, Dr. Nick. Life is good when I'm in space with you. So.
It's been a while.
It has. Yeah.
Shorter than last time, though. I think.
Last time I saw you was Sydney show.
No, it was down here immediately after.
That's
we
right.
recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, some technical difficulties.
God,
we
that was
we
rough.
can probably say it now, can't we? That we recorded an entire episode and you actually were like, that was actually really exceptional. That was one of the really good ones. Yeah.
And we hadn't recorded probably 70% of it, I reckon.
And we were here till just before midnight.
Yeah. We looked at each other and we were like, we've got to do it. We just have to do it. And we did it.
Yeah, it's the first time that's happened.
First time it's happened in the,
And I don't think I say this lightly, but heroes? A lot of people would have quit, I think.
some people would have quit, but I don't think that would have made us heroes. I'm not sure what the definition is, if we can get someone to pull that up.
That's it.
And you've been well?
Yes. I've got let's say that I've got a lot of Griswolds to choose from and we're not even at the next part one.
Not even there.
But I'll share that without playing my violin too loudly. But
okay.
Yeah, but good because I'm in a space with you, mate.
Yep. No, it's exciting. We're here for part 2, obviously.
Yeah, part 2 of Arrival of a Baby.
Yeah, huge. Well, you've had 3 of them, so you know what that's like.
Yes.
And you said to me, you threw out this number the other day. How many births have you been in the suite for? Or the room?
Oh, in the room, probably hundreds. But we used to do, in a lot of the neonatal, I've worked in 3 or maybe 4 different neonatal intensive care units. 2 in Brizzy, 3 in Melbourne. very
You've done neonatal.
intensive care units.
intensive care.
So
Nico.
that's like the little premies and stuff. And so you do like rounds where you'd have like just heaps of babies, and you do baby checks. And so like I've hundreds, if not more than that, because sometimes you'd have to do like a dozen baby checks in a shift, just to check out if Bub was okay to go home and stuff like that. So I was expecting like everything. I was like, man, I'm going to be a pro, and then I was not. So it's a really interesting thing that, and there's actually some really powerful. It's really interesting this part tour because it's so funny how just amazing the PCP audience is that I was like, I just send some reflections and some advice for new parents. Just thinking, it'd be good to have some of that, not just the questions. And then we were just inundated with like these beautiful like messages that I think. So we're going to do something quite different this episode where there's only really a couple of actual long questions, and they're really powerful and important ones. But there's actually just some really amazing
knowledge sharing.
Yeah, but also just like lived experience in like the challenges. Because I think one of the hard things is that there's not a lot of that gets openly shared in the public. So everyone kind of just thinks, this is going to be the best day of my life. This is going to be the best transition, the best new season, all of that kind of stuff. And then when that doesn't happen for you, it's like just so disappointing and so like something's wrong with me. And I've spoken heaps before about it, but that's how I felt. I like a big part of my identity now is being a dad. Like it's one of the proudest parts of my life. But the early days, like, Heidi is she's like a couple of weeks off being one. And I'm now like, I've probably had a couple of months of like being really connected with her, where she just seeks me out. I seek her out. She kind of leans into me. She like gets excited when I enter a room, gets upset when I leave one. And like, she's been like that with Annalise for ages. But, that bonding always takes a little bit of time for me. Whereas with you, you're like, which is actually the first of the main question that we have, actually the main long question. I think you'll have a beautiful answer to it.
Oh, really? No pressure.
No pressure. There's only one question and it's all on you. But it's a really powerful one because I think if anyone's like, should I listen to this? I think, it just highlights the strength of the PCP community in some of the stuff that people like, practical stuff, like always, clinicians that are sharing stuff. And then we have like just these deep insights into what it's been like for some people and how they've come through the other side.
Cool. Can't wait to share them. Can't wait to read them.
And the polls, I did something different with the polls as well.
Go on.
I some would say perfectly paired some images from the movie and the questions, but and I even throw in my favourite character, Frozone. His this is a bit of interesting trivia we didn't talk about. You know how the woman's like,
I'm the greatest good you got.
Yeah, that was one of the HR people.
Oh, really?
Like not an actor. Just like, they were like, do you want to do these lines? And
extras.
They're phenomenal. They're like probably the funniest lines in the whole movie. And it was just like a HR person that was like, yeah, sure, I'll read them. And she's amazing. So I just thought it was cool.
I love hearing stuff like that.
But there's only 2 poll questions that are like yes, no. And then and then there's some and then there's a third cool one. But yeah, you go through them.
Okay, let's do it. Hey, Billy, we asked the people, do you feel prepared for the arrival of a baby? 59% of people said no.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like I felt you can't, I confused the feeling with that last bit where you're like, oh, come on. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm ready to go. Was I ready? No. Like, as a human, ready? No, but I was ready for it to happen to start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, a lot of people wrote in and were like, I wish there was a third option where it was like, I felt like I was, but I actually wasn't.
That's probably it. Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably what I was trying to say. Like, yeah, I was ready for it to happen, but wasn't ready when it arrived.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You? You would have been ready. Come on.
I mean, the really interesting thing for me is like, I look back and think I wouldn't have been able to do this earlier in my life. And so that's from that perspective, yeah, I felt like I kind of got enough stuff sorted, but it has also tested me, like it protects me in so many ways of my mental health, but it's also tested and there's this like, we're like getting into the deep bit on the first poll we do. Like it's it's also, there's a sense of responsibility that I probably wasn't ready for.
Yeah. Okay. just one more thing to add to this. I wish I'd had him sooner.
Oh, yeah. Like I wish
Yeah.
that from like just a chronological like
Correct.
time with them stuff, but I don't think that I had the experience and knowledge to do it at a younger age, if I'm honest. I didn't have the maturity and the I hadn't gone through enough like of dealing with that
Totally.
stuff.
Yeah. But I wish I'd still had dealt with that bit.
Mate, you're still young.
I'm aging horribly.
Beautifully.
Walk. Don't. Hey, Billy. Next question we asked. Feel like you have what it takes to keep your cool through the tough times of parenting? 68% of people said no.
It's a bit unfair because it's made it an absolute thing, but yeah, I don't know. Like, how often do you reckon you would lose your cool, like when parenting?
Me? Oh. I lost it this morning.
Yeah, like you parent a lot more than me. Like, do you?
I reckon
Is it a daily thing?
No. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon I would be.
Oh, it depends on what losing your cool is. But yeah.
Or just losing control, I guess. Like not being.
No. I mean, I'll lose it, but
As in, yeah, I don't mean
Yeah,
like
I mean-
yelling and screaming and
Oh,
throwing
yeah,
stuff,
yell
but
and
just where you're like a bit short, bit snappy.
oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, bit that one, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they're a bit, yeah,
Yeah.
personally, but that's just me. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
I don't think they find it that bad.
No, well, it's an honest experience for them as well, especially if you can repair. And all that
Oh,
stuff.
I go back in. I apologise a lot.
It's amazing, mate. Like I was doing a podcast with another group this morning and talking about how important, just our kids hearing us say sorry is.
Yeah. Is it amazing? Because I do it a lot. Am I not getting it right? Sorry, I'm not comparing podcast to podcast. But I'm like, you're like, that's great you do that. I'm like, it'd probably be better if I didn't have to get myself in this situation where I've yelled at them or done something that's really upset them and then had to apologise.
Oh yeah, but you're all in. So I think you could be less in and maybe make less mistakes. But
Yeah. But yeah, to answer that question, no way. And then I think there was one other thing in there was like looking at what some other people deal with. I could not possibly deal with that straight away. I'm sure it's like a muscle. Seeing what some people have to deal with their kids, sick kids.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
And yeah.
can't. Anyway, hey Billy, then we asked people, what superpower would be most useful for parenting?
I know we had like nearly, I think, 1,000 of responses to this. But
Yeah.
do you want to take it in turns?
Yeah, sure. I'll do the evens.
Okay. So that means I'm first.
Yep.
Automatic emotional regulation on yourself and any child, like laser beams out of your eyes. I thought that was a really good one because also pretty much the most common thing that came through, like hundreds of people said something around the ability to regulate emotions. This is just very funny.
Pretty
really cool.
real. Hey, unlimited patience or ability for my boys to hear instructions before the 17th repetition.
Yeah, patience was very common. And that was the funniest one of those that I thought. Mind reading, putting your consciousness in their body so you can know why they are upset.
That's a ripper. That would be useful.
Yeah, and I actually think you can learn that.
Time control, slow down the good times, speed up the tantrums. Practical, I like it.
Next one's not needing sleep and nipples of steel. I don't know if you purposely gave me that one, but so that would fall on me.
Hey, ability to clone. My son once said, I wish I had 3 parents, one for dinner, one for chores, and one to play with.
It's great, isn't it? Just seeing those as 3 priorities of parenting. Sleeping voodoo that could put babies to sleep instantly and for at least 3 hours at a time.
At least 3 hours a time. It's not much to ask for, is it, Billy?
No, but that's the classic babies.
Oh, you know what they don't tell you? We've talked about this before. They go, they're on 3-hour cycles. They don't sleep for 3 hours.
Yeah.
There's 45 feeding, 45 settling, and an hour and a half of sleep. Sorry, I shouldn't tell that to people that haven't had them or thinking of having kids because that one, that's real, that one.
Oh, and it's so true as well. I think everyone thinks that like, yeah, sweet, I'll get so much done in that time.
You don't, you can't. Hey, Billy, invisibility cloak. So my kids wouldn't know I was home and go ask Dad instead.
Some really actually amazing stuff. I included a few of them that came through from dads, which was really cool to see because unfortunately still the majority of our audience is mums and women. So I'd say unfortunately because I'm like, I really would hope that we can build out how many dads are part of our community, because I think it's a really powerful thing that there's so much potential in as well.
For sure. Hey, Billy, one superpower I wouldn't have to worry about is being the world's strongest man, because I love that about your kids. I always think you're like the strongest person.
Yeah. So it's a hard thing to realise when that goes as well.
Oh, when they realise you're not? Yeah, I think they look at Uncle James and they're like, Uncle James is stronger than you. I'm like, maybe. Yeah, it's annoying.
So is that what would you choose?
I mean, time travel's dangerous. But yeah, if I could have retakes at things.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Snip back a little bit. Maybe just a minute.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't use that. I would.
It's dangerous.
I reckon the sleep one. I'm such a bad sleeper that I reckon if I could just sleep better, like I probably don't even know. I've got the funniest. I'll save it for the next episode. But the funniest thing to talk about with sleep that you'll get a good chuckle out of. But yeah, I reckon the sleep one. I reckon the ability to or not need sleep or just actually sleep well.
Yeah, well, my partner Henrietta has that. She can sleep.
Same as Annalise. Super sleep.
God, I can sleep so well. Anyway, blessed. Okay, Billy, reflections. We're going to kick this thing off.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I got this. Hi, big legends. What a beautiful episode. Thank you. The reflection is undoubtedly more for me because it's something I've been thinking about for a while now and hope it will feel cathartic to get it down in an email. I have 2 perfect girls. Thanks for giving me the permission to say that, Nick. But parenthood did not come easy. We had a really brutal time with infertility to get where we are today. Diagnoses, mixed diagnoses, miscarriages, IVF, years of endo leading to disappointment, specialist uncertainty, and all in the thick of COVID, where I had to attend appointments alone. The most rock bottom, heartbreaking moments of my life were alone in clinical rooms having a stranger tell me I'd lost another precious baby. I was sure my whole life I would be a mum. I planned my career around being a mum. I had picked names since I was 12. I would beg, pray to God, the universe, the full moon, to be blessed with a baby. I was desperate, and looking back, a bit unhinged. I was deeply hurt by the expression others would use to describe their life, deep in the trenches. I just couldn't believe that anyone could compare the world's greatest privilege, parenthood, to an experience of being at war. I still bristle at the expression today, but I know it isn't intended to hurt others, so I am able to move past it. I recall many times in the depths of my longing, I would swear and promise that if I was just granted a baby, I would never, ever raise my voice to it. I would never lose my temper or take it for granted for a single moment of time, and I was given that perfect miracle. Now, 4 years into parenting, and of course, those are promises I have not been able to keep. For years, I was really, really hard on myself if I slipped up and allowed myself to feel frustrated, exhausted, bored, angry around my kids because I have everything I ever wanted, and how dare I possibly not enjoy and savour every moment. Countless times after a tough dinner, bath bed combo, or a complete toddler meltdown over seemingly nothing at all, I'd cry myself to sleep, kicking myself that I wasn't soaking up the joy enough, breaking the promise to be a perfect mum because I wanted it so badly. Well, no, objectively, that is ridiculous, but it was like I had sold my soul to get here and then wasn't holding up my end of the deal to be unflinchingly perfect. Listening to you guys has been huge in my journey of acceptance that yes, this is a blessing. Yes, I love my kids more than anything else in the world, but I am human and I am allowed to find this a tough gig at times. Maybe it's my long-winded way of saying my advice to myself 4 years ago would just be not too hard on myself, to not set the bar too high that I feel like a failure. And I hope all parents are able to give themselves the grace I have been withholding from myself. You guys have said it in passing a few times, something to the effect of, our audience spend their free time listening to parenting podcasts. They're already amazing parents. And truthfully, that felt like a big hug. Thanks again. I feel lucky to be part of the PCP community.
So do we.
Yes, yes.
There's lots of these beautiful ones. Hi, Nick and Billy. I almost didn't listen to the episode, but so glad I decided to. It's always good to hear your grizzies and relatable as ever after yet another trip to ED last week that had me feeling a bit useless. Don't worry, everything was okay. I think I would have liked to understand how motherhood would change my brain, how my past trauma would be reopened, and how my mental health would come undone. My first birth was extremely traumatic. I didn't really know what happened until later when I processed it. But that starting point meant I didn't feel safe with care providers, midwives, GPs to express the anxiety I was experiencing. We then had a tiny preemie baby who had a very loud set of pipes, who has recently turned 5 and has still never slept a full night in her life. I remember being so anxious that my hands were shaking and my breath was short most of the time. It sounds stupid, but I thought if I admitted it, I would have my baby taken away from me. My iron was also totally depleted, but I didn't even know to ask to get that checked. Eventually, my anxiety felt less loud, still there though. When we fell pregnant with our second, I wanted to better prepare for the birth and postpartum. Armed with my wisdom, I thought, yes, if I can get through that, this time I'll be more at ease and I'll enjoy it more. Of course, that didn't happen. While our second birth was not traumatic, postpartum was not without difficulty, again very low iron, and I developed Bell's palsy, which left the right side of my face paralysed for several months post-birth. Our second baby still is, an easier temperament to parent, and I think that was a blessing because I fell into a deep depression. Not because I wasn't feeling love or connection to my children, but because as I recovered from birth and adjusted to being a parent of 2 under 2, I quite literally couldn't smile, sometimes drooled, and was, as my 2-year-old called me, a pirate with my fashionable eye patch to protect my open eye from dust. This time around, I was able to recognise early that help would be beneficial. At my baby's 12-week checkup, I left with an antidepressant prescription, a referral to a psychologist, a blood test which led to an iron infusion, and some information on postpartum iron depletion and anemia. My second is now 3, and really I'm only just coming out of that and feeling slightly on top of parenting. The thing is, before I had kids, I was successful at what I did. Awards, medals, career progression, all of that. Once I became a mum, I felt like I was failing. Even still, my community is my husband and my family who lives interstate, my mum's friends group chat with a weird name, my psychologist, my GP, my dog, and this podcast. It's a small and somewhat parasocial group, but a support network is a support network. Parenting did not come easily. The nurturing and loving came naturally, but understanding what was going on for me now and how I was changing, how I couldn't just project manage it, was really confronting. Remembering my upbringing, reliving moments through the eyes of my child has also made me reflect deeply on the parent I want to be. My first is an orchid. She has intense emotions, is hyperactive, and more often than not in the yellow or red zone. But she's highly intelligent and hits the developmental milestones, so when I tried to explain how hard she can be to parent, it has often fallen on deaf ears. She's never slept a full night. It wasn't until my second came that I realised that other babies I heard were sleeping through the night must have been ones like this. It has taken us 5 years and we're finally seeing a developmental paediatrician this month, and an OT has been extremely helpful during that wait time. While I don't expect a diagnosis, I need to better understand what is happening for her, why sleep is so hard, and how we as parents and also teachers, when it starts school, can better support her. My second is a dandelion. That's not to say they're not hard, but they sleep well, eat well, and they're easier. I don't think parenting is ever easy, but I want to acknowledge that some kids are much harder to parent, and that's okay. If you're also an orchid, highly sensitive, neurodivergent, or have experienced trauma, then maybe the person who needs the most nurturing is you, because you're probably your own toughest critic and your kid's biggest champion. I feel an incredible amount of guilt for my feelings of anxiety and depression, for not enjoying it enough. You know how people say, enjoy every minute? I know I haven't done that, but I'm beginning to understand that regret people must feel for saying to exist. What I do hope is that when my kids are older, they will have a healthy relationship with their parents, one that was never perfect, where their parents made mistakes but taught them it's okay to not be the best at it. There is always tomorrow, and we still love you regardless. So all of this is to say, parenting can be simultaneously really hard and the most life-changing, beautiful thing one can do. If you're struggling, you're not alone in it, and it feels hard because it is hard. Asking for help is absolutely recommended. And Billy, is there such a thing as kids being allergic to sleep? Because I think we have it. Love your work. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Not sure it'll be read out, but maybe it'll connect to an anxious mum or dad. Amazing. The last thing we'll read has a really beautiful response to that.
Okay. Sorry, I've never heard that question asked.
I think I'm allergic to sleep.
Okay, number 3, Billy. Hey, Nick and Billy. I'll try to keep this short, as you will be inundated this week, I am sure. I have 2 beautiful rainbow babies, and I struggle to deal with their feelings of ungratefulness. And I struggle to deal with the feelings of ungratefulness I felt.
Do you know what a rainbow baby is?
No.
It's when you've lost a baby before them. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just sorry. I should have explained that.
No, yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah, okay. I didn't realise that.
It's okay. Sorry.
No, that's all
I
right.
should have explained
I shouldn't
it.
be so bubbly. Sorry.
No, it's not that, mate. It's just that it's but I'm saying it because a lot of listeners probably won't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. I felt shame and horrible feelings about myself as it was so much harder than I had thought, and since I had suffered so much loss and infertility, I didn't feel entitled to complain or struggle. Everyone warns you how hard and life-changing it will be, but you really don't know what they're describing, and the good side is always thrown in there as a caveat. But you will love them more than you will possibly know. I had to learn that it was okay to grieve my life before, my freedom, my routine, my solid sleep, all the things I had control over and therefore felt in control and good about myself. Fast forward to becoming a mum and feeling the tiredness and the forgetting to eat, not being able to think about what to eat, cook, clean, and just feeling like everyone around me knew what they were doing. Their baby sat cute in their lap and they were able to make it out and about. I was so triggered by my daughter's emotions, and she had a lot of them. I felt on edge and became compulsive over her sleep and sleep windows, dark rooms, white noise, all the things. If I could go back and strap her to me and just cuddle her, let her sleep on me for all her naps, co-sleep safely, I would do it in a heartbeat. Alas, we cannot go back. Trust your instincts and do what works for your family in your 4 walls. Accept help and get better for asking for help. Meals dropped to your door, someone holding your baby so you can have a shower, company with a hot cup of tea on the couch. The biggest takeaway for me, I needed help. More help than my village could give me. I was medicated for anxiety from 4 months postpartum until around 12 months. My doctor described the medication to me as my car on empty. I will give you enough fuel to get the petrol station and you will do the rest. Fast forward to my daughter being 6 and being diagnosed with ADHD in my 30s, to her subsequent diagnosis ADHD on our way through ASD diagnosis. The feelings and lack of structure to my day, the sensory reactions my daughter would have been feeling but was unable to tell me in any other way than crying and screaming, I can exhale and know that we did the best we could, and it changes each day. Be kind to yourself, surrender to the day, hour or minute for what it is, cancel plans if they are too much, ask for help, and when you are kicking goals, pay it forward to those in your shoes. I'm now studying psychology in my late 30s with desires to help parents and children in my future. Inspired by this podcast and the whole PCP community, there are not enough words or accolades that could be given to you both and the whole GGM team for all you have done and the impact you will have on generations to come. Thank you. P.S. See you in Perth.
Yeah. Mate, this one's going to be like the whole thing's just like this beautiful reflection. Yeah, and there's this amazing letter. Just that one made it just because of how beautiful it is and how open and vulnerable and honest it is. But there's an amazing one coming from an OT as well. But yeah, and I feel like that. I wish that I could go back and just let Evie like sleep on me. And like I worry now that the difficulties she's having are because I didn't do that then. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Nick and Billy. Your latest podcast episode has prompted me to reflect on my experience of bringing a baby into the world. I initially wrote a novel for Cathesis and have since boiled it down so as not to bore you too much. I'm an obstetrics doctor who has 4 months left of my training. Billy, your wife sounds like an absolute champion to have had 3 children whilst training and supporting you to do this amazing work. Yeah, gosh, tell me about it. It seemed that my pregnancy, birth, and early postpartum period could be seen as having been done wrong. I despised being pregnant. I was nauseated and sore, and sleep became a distant memory. I went from someone who socialised every other day, did high-intention interval training classes 5 times a week, ran, cycled and swam, to someone who was struggling to make it through my workday. I went from someone who has climbed Kilimanjaro 3 months before becoming pregnant to someone who didn't want to walk anywhere. I lost myself and felt no connection whatsoever to my growing baby. I think having seen so much heartache and loss through my work reinforced the disconnection as a coping mechanism. Unsurprisingly, I was diagnosed with antenatal depression at 36 weeks and eventually accepted medication and psychotherapy. I had an emergency caesarean at 38 weeks. I struggled best with breastfeeding as my baby didn't latch. I did triple feeding for 5 weeks, which for people who haven't experienced it is a special kind of torture. Before admitting defeat in formula feeding, do you know what triple feeding is?
Oh, what's that?
When you're pumping, feeding and supplementing all at the same time. Yeah. When my baby was 6 weeks old, I had a panic attack that lasted on and off close to 24 hours. I'd never experienced a panic attack before, and the sheer fear I experienced was unimaginable. It was the longest and worst night of my life. I was separated from my baby for 2 days before being reunited in the mother-baby unit at my local hospital. I felt like I was stripped bare, hollowed out, and wrung out to dry, all in front of my colleagues that I respected and worked with before. I felt so much shame at being admitted to the hospital with a mental illness. In the unit, we were checked on hourly. I was not allowed to bathe my baby unsupervised, and anything seen as dangerous was removed from my possession. Over the following 2 weeks, I rebuilt my confidence with the support of my wonderful mental health care nurses, OTs and psychologists. Although I wish I'd never wish this experience on anyone, I do wish every new mum could have some kind of intensive immersion to learn mothercrafting. It was a lifeboat in the storm. My baby girl is now nearly 9 months old. Although all these things went wrong, she's perfect. She sleeps like a dream, loves to socialise, and has a smile that will melt even the stoniest of hearts. She has one green eye and one blue eye, and when the light hits her face, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She does not know how she was birthed, what she has eaten, or that attachment was intermittently severed in the early days through mental illness. She is simply loved and enjoyed, just like she should be. Long story short, if I could tell myself or other mums, new mums, anything, it would be this. It is always possible for 2 things to be true. Fed is best, but it's okay to be disappointed if breastfeeding doesn't work out. Postpartum rage at your dog is real, but it will also fade. Becoming a mum can be both the best and worst experience of your life, but most importantly, you can need help and still be an amazing mum. Not everyone in Australia has access to the amazing psychiatric services that I did, but help is still everywhere. Ask for it when you need it and accept it when offered. Share your stories with other parents and build a support network around you. It is surprising how much struggle is left unspoken in our bid to be seen as coping. Enjoy the little moments while still allowing yourself to admit this parenting shit is hard. Thank you for reading my revised novel, and it still ended up a novel. Your podcast is fantastic. It's made me a better mother, and no doubt it will make me a better clinician when I do return to work. Thank you for everything you do. Sorry. A couple of them, I was reading some of them on the plane. Just bawling my eyes out on the plane.
Yeah.
There's more heavy ones coming, but put the shorts in.
I haven't read them.
There's an absolute ripper from a granddad at the end that you're going to love. I'm getting you to read it.
Okay.
It's just, so there is also some those are beautiful. It's just absolutely far out.
Well,
What a privilege to like be able to hear that person's story.
yeah.
Shorts.
I have to ask this first question. When are you two due?
Oh, mate, can you imagine?
Who?
Who'd what?
Would I have?
Would you carry?
Would I carry?
Would you be Arnie?
Yeah, I don't know how this. Yeah,
Junior.
Junior. Junior?
Junior. Yeah.
Junior.
Should do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. 'Cause remember when I was
would you-
pitching for the Nick and Billy dream house for Mattel? I was even talking to them. I was like, a PCP car, surely it can start with, you know, a Hot Wheels car that's in that colours and then work our way up to Nick and Billy's dream house.
Second question. Is feeling ready to start a family a myth?
Yeah, what is that? How does that make you feel?
I hate, it's kind of like, I feel, you have all this knowledge on the other side, 8 years on,
Yeah.
have so much knowledge. So I think it's nice if someone feels like they're ready.
Totally. It's really interesting that in relationships, we don't actually sit down a lot of the time and have a discussion about like what type of parent do you want to be? And I think we know through pop culture parenting and all my clinical work and stuff, I get a lot of experiences where like I just don't agree with how my partner parents and stuff like that. And I think it's weird that we don't sit down and talk about it before we go into it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I don't reckon you'd have any idea.
Well, it's interesting. One of the boys from Man Cave before I rolled in here, he was like, going off to do this thing with my partner, and because we're kind of entering into that, we're about to be parents phase. I was like, man, that's exciting. Like, how long away? And he's like, oh, we're not, my partner's not pregnant yet, but we're just, and I was like, man, how cool is that you guys are like thinking about it and preparing for it and like setting yourselves up and
I can completely agree. But I don't think I'd ever, I never think about what sort of parent, how I'm going to parent.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest, like the term of like, what sort of daddy you're going to be. And I think I was just like, I'm just going to be like, like
The fun dad.
Fun dad. Like, mate.
The funny thing is you are the fun dad, but I think it's not your greatest superpower. I think your greatest superpower is just how special you make your kids and other people's kids feel.
I think I'm the fun police. I don't think I'm that
really?
fun. Yeah.
I think you're fun.
I'm the popo.
Mate, I've stolen so many of your moves.
Yeah.
Nah, even though Dr. Nick can't be in their life at the moment, I bring a lot of his moves.
No, I don't know. I can't believe people be thinking about it.
I think it is a myth that I don't think you like wait until you're ready and then go, we're ready. Like I don't think you have this feeling that you're like ready. So because anyone who's listening is like, man, I don't feel ready. It's like,
no, I never felt ready, but I was like, let's get going.
Yeah, I didn't feel ready.
We'll figure it out. Hey, Billy, why does everyone focus on the birth and not raising of the baby?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I think there's a lot of like medicalisation around birth and things like that. But, and some people would justifiably say too much. Like I think there's a reason that infant mortality's fallen so much is because we've like thought about it and understood it and all those things. But I think, whereas we see none of that really, like the whole reason Guiding Growing Minds exists is I don't think you should wait until someone says, hey, you should go and see a developmental paediatrician before you should start learning about child development, mental health. So I think that, it just moves from this like, we need doctors to check stuff and to guide us and make sure everything's on track to, she'll be right. Don't you think? Like if you think about the pregnancy, you do these checkups and you do all this stuff. You like do scans and levels and growth and all that kind of stuff. And then when the kid's born, you're pretty much like, it'll be fine. And there's more kids entering school at the moment than there ever has been with developmental concerns.
Yeah.
So actually, we won't be right.
Yeah, there's a lot in there though. Like I can't really know what to say to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I just think that it's a cultural thing that we think. It's the same as like we're culturally losing the village that's around us.
Well, we're going to get to that. And that was kind of where I was going, trying not to talk to.
Yep, sorry. Yes.
Yes. Ready?
Yep.
How much of a child's personality is due to nature versus nurture?
Yeah, so without getting too deep, because if people want us to, we'll do one on personality. But essentially,
Love to.
Yeah, the boring bit is that like personality is made up of so many different things. It's essentially like it moves a little bit, but it's fairly kind of set in terms of how things go. Genetically, we know things like temperament are in nature, so they're set. Like that's what we've talked about a lot, like the orchid, the dandelion, that kind of stuff. And that's unchangeable, as well as a couple of other things like how reactive we are, our impulsivity, other metrics like that. But scientifically, some people would say it's about a 40-60 split, or it's a 50-50 split, or it's like, there's no real right answer to that, but it's a really big mix and both contribute in a big way. But so much of the stuff I'm interested in is the nurture stuff. You have to understand the nature stuff of which bits of personality, like temperament, are set, and which bits can we actually support kids in strengthening on, and which bits do we need to just, our understanding needs to get better at how do I meet the needs of that kid, knowing that I don't want to put any weight on them to change. So that's kind of where it comes. But we can do, if people will find it helpful, we can go deeper into personality stuff because there's just so much research on that and clinical input.
Okay. Billy, what's happened to the village? Feels like community connection has gone.
Yeah, we definitely are seeing that pretty rapidly as well. Like it was falling away before COVID, and then we lost a lot of those things. And it's a problem with like resourcing and prioritising and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that, a lot of my work, including my PhD, is like the schools being that community. But you can't just go, hey, you're the community now. You've got to put all the resources and support in place for them. But I think there's enough resources, I don't think there's a resource problem. The gym that I go to every morning, they're doing some construction, and probably every second day the road's blocked off. Tiny little road, it's like 1 block length, and there's usually between 8 and 12 people working to block that road, just in pairs, standing there making sure no one works on either end of the pedestrian, the detours are being acknowledged, and I'm like, there's that many people that can make sure that this building goes up, there's enough money to pay for schools to be properly supported, for people to have access to mental health services and all that stuff. So I think it's just about us actually expecting more from our leadership to say there should be a community here, it should be prioritised, it should be resourced, support the schools, give us access to the things that protect our health. We know what all of it is: public open spaces, a work-life balance. Like if you're working all the time, you can't be part of a community. That's been a really big lesson for me, is that Annalise and I are working so much. We were down here for 5 years and we didn't have a community really because we were just working all the time. We were just in survival mode. And if you're always in survival mode, and we were for a different reason, we're really privileged to not have to worry about finances, but in a different way, we were both chasing careers that are really demanding. And we know there's way more of that now. There's a lot of 2 parents that are working full time now. And that's why it gets my back up a little bit, where people are like, kids shouldn't go to childcare and all that stuff. Those are very privileged positions to be able to say that in. And my argument is we've got really solid evidence on what makes a childcare a protective, positive experience. Like there's solid evidence of what are the factors, and we'll go into it now. But we need to actually just reinforce where kids are actually living their lives now, and where families are where they should be, giving them community connections, like face-to-face stuff. And it's really interesting, the final closing bit is I want GGM to start doing way more of this, because I've been lately getting in the room with groups, and it's just like the live show's a bit of like that, isn't it? Like just being in a room with people, but that's like a real sense of community connection that I wish we could do way more of.
Yep. Can you repair bonds if you struggle with postpartum depression and didn't smile much at Bub initially?
Yeah, so we're hearing that, aren't we, in the reflections of people being like, I wasn't allowed to wash my baby or hold them, and I was away from them and stuff. And yeah, that's the beautiful thing about little babies and even kids and, even I dare say adults, but, it's just how the plasticity in their brain is that, their wiring has had these negative experiences where someone wasn't sensitive and responsive. But over time, you earn that back, and they rewires their brain. It changes a blueprint of how they feel about their world. And I have the privilege of meeting those kids that were in multiple homes before they were 5 years old, then in out-of-home care for years and years, and then they find someone that just genuinely cares for them. And so you can be that person, you can reflect on it, but you can't shame yourself. You can't remain in guilt and grief. You've got to say, but I'm here now. I have the capacity now. I can be sensitive, responsive, and like we've spoken about this a lot. I can just be there with you and enjoy you and delight in you and be 100% present with you. Like that's what all the evidence shows, that it's not the quality of time. It's like, it's not the quantity of time, sorry. It's like, I just have high quality time with you where we're just interacting together, and that's how you repair that. It's not set. Like that's one of the biggest myths of attachment science, is that those first 3 years, first 1,000 days, all that kind of stuff. It just puts so much weight on parents to say, well, if I stuff this up. And I feel that as well with Evie. Like, and just how much, like, we're certainly not smooth sailing now, but we were really, looking back, it was just a really tough time. Evie's first couple of years of life.
Hey, Billy, how do you safeguard your relationship for baby number 2 when it becomes divide and conquer?
Yeah, because we get asked this a bit, a really practical one around when the second baby comes is like trying to help the older kid like validate their experience and give them that like, I have these core needs, and one of them is emotional expression. So giving them the opportunity to get annoyed and say it's frustrating that this baby has all the time now. But once again, the other thing, like we just spoke about, it's the quality, not the quantity of time, but it's also the predictability. And predictability is a really important thing that you will probably have much more built into your weekly cycle than I do, where your girls know this is time they're always going to get with you, even if it's a school pickup. They're just like, cool, I'm going to get 15 minutes with Dad. Maybe we just journey there. I always know Saturday morning I go with him when he goes and gets a coffee. You know, we walk the dog on Monday nights together. Like doing that stuff and just knowing that's coming and that's 100% on me. And, you know, the baby might be sleeping, the baby might be there, someone else has got the baby. But the priority for that 15 minutes will be me, and making that consistent. And I'm talking 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'm not talking an hour of play and, you know, read them 10 books and all that stuff. I don't care about the length of it. I care about there's a predictable sanctuary that kid knows is going to happen. And ideally, if you can do it once a day, that's awesome. But I do that. Like I just do bedtime, like whenever I can. Like we just change it up if Annalise hasn't been around them much lately, which really sucks. But so when she's home in time for bedtime, she does it. Because it's like, it's a little sanctuary pocket, you know, with them to just like be in the same space, enjoying something together. Like, yeah. But I know you do that with the girls.
Yeah.
Go, give it to us.
No, the mum does the put down.
Yeah, but you will have different things, don't you?
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you do this beautiful thing where you kind of journey with your girls. Like you kind of go places with them and you like cruise with them. And
It's got to be way more deliberate. I always come out of this podcast and I'm pumped up and ready to go, but I'm like, God, I just need to be more deliberate. Anyway.
But that's how it's like, it is really overwhelming. And if you're like, oh, this really sucks, but just thinking about, I just need these tiny pockets of predictability, build a strong narrative around it, make it really powerful, just enjoying them. And little tiny things. Those are the sanctuaries that save the older kid when a baby comes.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, Billy, when does jealousy start rather than just older child having an unmet need?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We should go into this back properly, and I probably should have done it in the first stage. But essentially, babies are born with like states they can be in. Emotions come as they start growing, but they have states, and they have essentially like, you know, pleasure, distress or irritability. Like those are two big ends of the metric, and both are heightened, and then they have this like calm just when their system's relaxed. So if you think about relaxed nervous system, where they're just awake but cruisy, and then you think about distress, they don't like something, and then you think about like interest, so they're excited by something that's going on in their world, they're drawn to it. That's like the hold the gaze, turn to something, you know, look at something, focus on it. But then what happens is they start to emerge with emotions about it, and like anger and fear and joy are like often the early ones. But jealousy is really interesting because jealousy we know starts before kids are 12 months of age, but it's what people call proto-jealousy, where it's like they can't actually conceptualize it, but they just fear a loss of attachment, and not in a clinical pathological way, but just a baby that sees its caregiver holding another baby before they're a year age will become distressed and try and get that attachment to come back through lots of different ways. Yeah. So it's like a really interesting thing. And then when they get older than a year, we see a more cognitive, kind of more complex jealousy come in, where it's like, you know, they're aware, especially the egocentric toddler is like, that's my thing. Like, how dare you play with my parents? And, you know, they're kind of, that kind of more complex emotion comes in. But then it really goes through all of our life, doesn't it? Like, we still experience jealousy as adults, and like romantically, professionally, like all of that stuff. And I think we always worry about like there's bad emotions and we should avoid them, but actually they really can be helpful things, can't they? When you're jealous. If you're jealous, it can sometimes remind you that how important a relationship is, or where your priorities sit, or that you need to put more energy into something or reflect on something. And then there's like worrying jealousy, where it's like obsessive, or it's impacting your functioning, or the kid can't, you know, go and do something successfully out in the world. And I think that's one of the things that like fired me up a little bit lately on the socials, where we were talking about a kid who couldn't share. And a lot of people were like, oh, if my kid wants to be on the slide forever, they should be. I'm not, my kid shouldn't have to bow down to everyone. And I was just like, we're talking about like a kid that's really struggling with this skill. We're not talking about a kid who needs help with having a healthy level of assertiveness. It's how's the kid going as a whole. And when you pick the specific thing that they're struggling with, give them support with that.
Yep.
You know, so it's really interesting the way the world is going at the moment. And it goes back to that question about like, where's the community gone? We've just become such a society where it's like me and my family against the world, and we'll take what we want. And like, just people have like collectively stopped caring for each other. It's very much just me and mine. I'll get mine, I'll take it, you know, and you lose that like awareness that this has gone too far into that realm, you know, of looking after myself and self-care to like, this is destructive to my relationships with people, and it actually harms others. Yep. Anyway.
That wraps our shorts.
Cool. Now we're going to take it in turns, aren't we?
Yeah.
So there's essentially, there's two questions. Essentially one, the first one is powerful. While you're reading it, think of an answer. I'll obviously support you, but I thought this was such a beautiful one for you.
Okay.
It's the only one I picked, really, because it was like the most powerful out of all of them, and the reflections, and you'll see the advice that's coming are just so strong.
Okay, cool. All right. Long question one. Good afternoon, Nick and Billy. I just wanted to start by saying thank you for your last pod. Came at a really great time for me. My wife and I are expecting our first child. She's currently 17 weeks pregnant, and we are both really excited. I'm keen to listen to all the other advice shared by the community, but my one question I'd like quite specifically to ask you to help. But my one question I'd like is quite specific to me, but hopefully someone can help me answer it. My family is quite broken, and without going into details, I haven't been around many babies. I don't have much experience holding them, interacting through play, and in general just forming connections with them. I found it very unnatural for me, but I'm determined to be the best father I can be. Is there any advice you can give that would give me a good foundation to connection with my child when they arrive? What Nick mentioned about his connection with kids sounds amazing. You're a natural. I feel like I'm so far from that, but I aspire to be like him in that aspect. And also in BJJ, I'm a 4-stripe blue belt, Nick. Oh, God, I understand. You'll have so many questions flood in, so I understand if this gets missed. Thanks again for all you do. I can't wait for the next pod to drop.
Amazing. And a 4-stripe blue belt.
Oh, yeah, I fear those guys. I have just got my purple belt, but I'm assuming he might be a young father, and young blue belts, most people are scared of them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And now you've been doing it for a while. Can you look at someone and kind of gauge, like looking at me, would I be a black belt? Like, what would you?
No, you can't. Well, he is usually given away. The more cauliflower, the less use. I don't look at them. I look above them in the ceiling. Yeah, no, I don't want to.
But yeah, I just thought isn't it so cool just thinking about that and aspiring towards that?
Yeah. Wow.
And
God,
do you have any advice about
like these people are like so aware?
I know they're just
you know what I mean?
This
like
way.
we weren't I wasn't operating like this. Like, yeah, I do. I mean, we have this podcast and it's popular and people like it. It's really good and I've learned a lot. But like, I didn't start this until after my second kid had arrived. Like, I wasn't thinking.
Well, do you know there's one thing you've stopped doing, which is like,
what?
It was amazing you used to do it. People won't know this. But you would often, like, after we'd done the pod, remember this, you would write notes?
Yeah.
You'd like, before it's out of my head, you'd have like a pen and...
I
paper?
try not to be. Yeah, I do. Yeah, some things.
And you would we'd stop recording and you'd sit there and write down all the stuff.
I used to make you summarise every episode at the end. I should make you keep doing
we
it.
used to do that,
I
wasn't
used
it?
to all right, so
That's years ago.
give me the sound bite, and you'd say it, and I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, that's right. But it's interesting. I think the beautiful thing, if we come back to it, is there any advice you can give that would give me a good foundation to connect with my child when they arrive? What do you think, looking back, has been the most powerful thing with the girls about when they came into the world? What was the best investment that you did?
With the child? Oh, I mean, I didn't really think about it too much. You know what I mean?
That's the hard thing. It becomes so
them up.
naturally to you.
To be honest, the aspects that maybe this person's asking about came naturally to me. What I would... this thing that's not related to this, but it's clearly it sounds like they're doing it with a partner, would be, just to sort of support them. And I just found that was really helpful because then they'd appreciate you and then it sort of created a warmer environment maybe. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Definitely. There's amazing advice from a dad that's come in about just supporting your partner and how cool that is.
But what would you do? I would just say, pick them up, hold them as much as you can.
Yeah, I think about validating that feeling that you have, that you're going to stuff it up, opening up the wounds that maybe, acknowledging that and saying this is hard. But I think there is, but I still think you have the answer, and the answer is what you do. It's essentially you go towards them with joy and delight. You do that to other people's kids. And you probably are thinking, I better be careful and not drop them and hold them carefully and all that stuff. But you're just so activated and you're so passionately go towards that. It's almost we keep getting asked for Nick's composting tips and but it's a thing that you go towards with the same passion.
Yeah, it's just going to sound trite. Trite might remember my term, but try and go in quite unguarded and just lean into it, the whole thing of it. I don't have I'm not a really macho sort of person. You know, I'm not sure if that gets in the way maybe of some people. I don't know. Maybe it does, that softness. But I was that sat fine with me. So just try and, where you can, just be unguarded and go to it. But it sounds stupid when I say it. But that kind of thing.
I think I even saw it, mate, when we were up and doing the Sydney show. My kids hadn't seen you in a while. And you were just so excited to see them. Yeah. And it was infectious for them. They both got so excited and I think you were like that every single time with them. However many podcast episodes we did, they always got to see you at the start of it. You were really excited, you do, and you would create these rituals with them. And I think rituals, I have that with Heidi now, where we do certain things. I make certain sounds. I pick her up, and then she laughs, and then I blow on her belly, and all that stuff. It's just those are the actual things that there's the nurturing care of try and figure out what's going on. Are you cold? Are you and there's some beautiful stuff coming in the other rest of the advice. But then there's this thing of just trying to find minutes every day to just be all in with them and just be there and just be engaged. And I think that's the most important connection piece is that, and that's what the evidence shows, the neurological enrichment that does to their brain and their social and emotional development of I had another face that was close to mine. In the early months, we know it's about 30 centimetres, and I could visualise, I could understand it, I could interpret it. It was responding to me, I was responding to it, and it was delighting in me. And that's just and not all the time, and it's okay if you missed it, you can catch up and all that stuff, but I reckon that's what it is for me. And I wish I'd done more of that with all three of them.
Oh, yeah. I only wish I'd done more of that.
And then this is a question and advice before we go into pure advice.
Sure.
To close it out.
Hi, Nick and Billy. I'll try to keep this short as you'll be inundated this week, I'm sure. Ooh. Yes. I have 3 children, a 3.5-year-old who is kind, imaginative, sensitive and loud, an 18-month-old boy-girl twins. Okay. The boy is bold, fearless, persistent, where his sister is thoughtful, observant, and very outspoken. I'm still not sure who I am more scared of. I found the transition from none to one so much harder than 1 to 2, and in my case 3. To be honest, I don't remember a lot of my older son's early months, and looking back, it makes me sad that I didn't get help when I needed it. I am a midwife, so the anxiety of how much do I even hold this fragile potato was not there, but another feeling which I wasn't expecting reared its head. I was angry, like pure rage that I had never experienced before, and not in anything in particular, but also at everything. I loved my husband, but I hated him too. I'd felt like everything inside me was different and I needed to scream. My body no longer felt like my own. My mind was now flooded with thoughts about my baby. Are they warm enough? How long is the wake window? Have they had enough tummy time? Can they see the TV through the blanket? Why won't they go to sleep? And while I had so much going on in my head, my husband just seemed oblivious to it all. I hated that he couldn't read my mind, that he did things differently, that he blew his nose so loudly in the shower. The levels of anger and resentment I felt was scary, confusing, and so lonely. No one talked about it. Not the MAC nurses, not even in my midwifery studies. No one talked about how the relationship would change. Here I was, naively thinking that everything would stay the same between us, that this baby would bring us closer together, and it did in so many ways, but also made us strangers. I guess on reflecting, I was also a stranger to myself. Fast forward to the arrival of the twins. I was prepared for the chaos of newborn demands. I decided this time I was going to embrace relentlessness of being wanted and needed all the time, carve out things that were non-negotiables like a shower, food, my immediate need, fuel my immediate needs. I chose to communicate better, delegate where I could, and it was so freeing. But what I didn't expect this time around was the grief. Here I was, 2 newborns and a toddler who all needed me. But how could I choose? Saying goodbye to my toddler was so much harder than I expected. That grief of what was, the guilt of, have I ruined his life, changing the dynamic? Yeah. Was again so unexpected. The grief of having twins. Then the guilt of not getting to have that one-on-one time. Being able to engross myself in one baby, learning them. And maybe I could have had it all, but felt too busy. Life was moving too fast. Twins' birth had its own challenges. Birthing in a system I knew had put me in a high-risk box from the first appointment without actually looking at me was exhausting. Fighting to be seen and heard and validated in how I felt was a battle I hope no mother has to go through, but unfortunately I know they do every day. This time I decided to seek out help, and it was the best decision I ever made. My psychologist walked me through acceptance and sitting with all my feelings and truly feeling them, which is as a 90s kid was confronting and uncomfortable. But it shifted my mindset into this is where I am now. I was recently listening to another podcast, Beyond the Bump, where a guest, Claire Tonti, discussed the concept of
Maderescence. It's like adolescence, but for mums.
Okay. This idea that we are so fundamentally different from the person we were before pregnancy and with subsequent pregnancies. Biologically, we have evolved to create, carry, birth, nurture, and protect this child. And in order to do all that, we need to be different. So my question, why don't we acknowledge that? Why do we expect the arrival of a baby to be just an addition and not a transformation? I know I have a question and a reflection, so if you have to choose one, then that's okay. If you ask me what I wish I knew, it was now what I tell every couple I look after before they go home from hospital. You are everything to this you are everything this baby needs. You are meant to feel, think, and see everything differently, and that is okay. Go home, learn your baby, learn you, learn your partner, and be selfish with your time because you won't get it back. Communicate with kindness, and remember, your partner can't read your mind. If you can't be kind, then be clear with what you need. And if you don't know what you need, then be clear with that too.
I think that's just so cool.
It's pretty good. Be kind to yourself. Feel the feels because everything you are feeling matters because you matter. It's not all about the baby, and it shouldn't be. Things seem more intense and scary at night time, so if the baby won't sleep or it feels overwhelming, treat it like the daytime. Turn the TV on and lean into it. Yeah, 100%. Talk to someone, anyone. Be that professionally or personally, because I guarantee you that someone is going through what you are right now and you are not alone. If you are loving every moment, then share that with people too. Be excited. Don't hide it just because others might be finding it tough. Just love them. Thank you guys for being you, for putting these conversations out there, for helping to recenter life and love around the chaos that is life.
I just thought there's some absolute gold in there. And it's this interesting thing around like, just like adolescence is this huge transformation in like your body and your growth and, you know, hormonal changes and physiological changes and cognitive changes. When you become a mum, this same kind of thing happens. And like, yeah, understanding that it's not just an addition, it's this whole transformational identity shift that a lot of us understandably like struggle with. And it's a different thing when you become a dad, but it's just like, it's this interesting thing like I spoke about in the first step. I'm pretty sure like we don't protect pregnant mums enough, but we also like, I think we used to be like, well, very, very long time ago, better at coming around someone who's just become a mum and all kind of collectively supporting and celebrating them. And I think we don't just do that now. We're just like, oh, yeah, cool, that's her choice, and yeah, she'll figure it out and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was cool, and there was some gold. Now let's fly through, and we're just going to take it in turns. I think I'm going first. Just some golden advice.
Get it.
So let's just put these out into the world, because I think some of them, all of them are amazing, but some of them are just phenomenal. Hi, Nick and Billy. I've been listening to the show for almost a year now, and I can honestly say you've changed my perspective on parenting and my relationships in general. We, my wife and I, and the whole PCP community are forever grateful for you both and the life-changing difference you're making in the podcast and the social enterprise. When I need a refresher on who I want to be as a dad, I go back to the second reflection of Beautiful Boys and listen to the story of the Irish dad with limitless love. It breaks me every time, and it's my North Star of who I want to be and how I'd like my kids to see me in the future. It's like phenomenal. I don't know if you can remember it. It's like...
Remember we finished on it?
Yeah.
I can't remember the details if I'm honest, but I remember
amazing. Yeah. I'm a father of a 16-month-old boy with another little boy due to arrive in just 3 months from now. Having gone through the journey of husband to my wife to a father to our family relative recently, I wanted to share the method we've used successfully that may help others. Before the birth of our first, we attended a pre-birth session at the hospital, and they showed some statistics that were frightening around depression and mental health issues pre and post-birth. According to this hospital, 90% of parents reported a negative impact to their relationship within the first year of birth. I looked at my wife, and who also couldn't believe that number, and said, not us. Since then, we've repeated that we're in the 10% mantra and checked in regularly on how we're going as a couple and what each other needs from the other. For sure, there are moments at 3 a.m. when 2 hours into settling a screaming baby where tensions are raised, usually on my side. But every time we've given each other grace, support and the benefit of doubt in that they also want the best for their child, even if it is a different approach. We're in it together, and when each other succeeds, we both succeed. As a result, we are a household full of love, patience, support and laughter, and the first year and a bit of our lives with our son has been incredible. My number one priority is my wife, because together we do a much better job for our child, soon to be children. She's absolutely amazing, a fantastic mum with limitless love, and inspires me every day to be as good as she is naturally. My wife frequently views the Mums of Jan 2025 Facebook group she's a part of, another good resource support for mums, and I'm constantly shocked at the amount of people that are on there berating their partners for their lack of effort, usually men. I feel like saying, well, instead of writing it on the internet, can you guys have an honest conversation and support each other? I truly believe that by prioritising your partner, you're doing a much better job of prioritising your child, because they grow up in a happier, healthier home. Anyway, these are my 2 cents. Keep up the great work on the pod, and we'll be back in the audience again for your next live show, whenever that is. It's an interesting thing though, like just very quickly, like how, I'm probably too centred on my kids, and I probably need to spend more time like supporting Annalise. And probably even more so because she seems to be such a natural, and she just has this phenomenal, almost limitless capacity. So it's an interesting thing about, like, I think there is this cultural belief that we just kind of complain about our partners instead of actually realising You know, and the kids are our priority, but yeah, I just meet a lot of families in clinic where there's just constant conflict. And I kind of grew up in that. And you've got to sort it out. Like, and you've got to, like, it's for the kids, like just thinking about, hey, we need to get on the same page about this. It's easy for me to say, harder for me to do.
Super helpful. Yeah, makes life a bit easier. Hey, Billy. G'day, guys. Thanks again for another really helpful episode, particularly relevant to me as my wife's pregnant with our third child with about the same age gaps as the family in The Incredibles. Okay. Here are a couple of things I wish people would talk more about. It feels like we've settled into a culture of not even trying to hang on to the things that bring us joy when a child's born. I think that the one thing I want to see is more realism about what we might feel, especially for dads who might be slower to connect deeply with their kids, but also less pessimism about what we should be trying to achieve. You can take a baby camping or take a toddler on multi-day hikes or maintain a career for each parent. It's just bloody hard. And you'll fail to juggle it, but your kids will be watching and see whether you even try at all. How can we expect them to find balance in their own lives if we don't model it ourselves? We're too hard on ourselves. For those who look for it, there's stacks of info out there on what best practice parenting should look like, but I think some of us need to be reminded that it's all very new to our society. Our own dads were raised in a time when their dads weren't even allowed in the delivery room, and a lot of the standards we tried our best to live up to were never modelled to us. Also, a practical tip. Make yourself a bug-out bag pre-packed with a weekend's worth of camping gear. You might only use it once a year, but knowing you could get away in an impromptu family adventure at the drop of a hat might help get through the struggle. Thanks very much for all that you do. Very practical.
Practical, there's like a lot of depth to some of the things he says, but I also just love his focus on like camping.
Yeah.
And just like how cool that's like obviously a strength for him. And I was a bit like, when I first read it, I was like, oh yeah, sure buddy, that's easy for you to say. But then I was like, he's right. There's some of those things you can do. They're just really bloody hard. Yeah. And I think there is there's one thing I'm not depriving my kids of. It's that watching Annalise and I try really hard to pull something off. They're never going to say we never saw. They saw us fail probably more than most, but they also saw us try.
Your now annual trips to West Australia just made...
Well, do you know it's the best, but one of the best experiences of my life was that RV. And it was like, because we were so late and disorganised, it was probably one they probably shouldn't have been renting anymore, because they're like, you'll get about 2 days out of the battery. And I think we got about 3 hours out of it. And then we were like 40-degree heat, no aircon, no anything, no power. But it was probably the best 10 days of my life. Great. Yeah, so I know that's easy to say, because probably a lot of people are like, mate, I'd love to go on a holiday, but I can't do that. But it wasn't the holiday. It was just like the focus on them, like, and just the togetherness and like how compact it was. And it would have been worse if the RV was better. Like, we were piled on top of each other. I still remember Annalise doing this drive, because we're so bad that we're like, yeah, we'll drive 10 hours in a day. We'll just split it up. We do this all the time.
You do that all the time. Just am like...
And I still remember Annalise like just drooping with sweat because the aircon was completely gone in this RV. It's just like she was swimming. And
was she pregnant?
We're just trying to get the kids like to stop shouting at us by like lollipops after lollies. And, you just get... It's amazing how quickly you get sick of like I Spy and stuff like that. And... yeah, she was pregnant. But there were moments there, like a lot of that trip was just such a beautiful thing. So it is hard, and it is hard to do those things. And some people it's not achievable, but I think those things that are a little bit hard often pay off. Like I just get out of the house. I've been doing so much solo parenting lately, and I just...
Need to change the scene.
Well, but it's hard because it's easier to just be like, I'll just throw the TV on.
Oh, you pay for that later. I always find I pay for that later.
Yeah, you do, don't you? So it's that little bit that's hard at the start of like getting them in the car, and you're like, far out, just getting you guys in the car is hard, and then getting them out of the car is hard. But it's always better.
Always better.
Yeah.
In my experience, it's definitely always better.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Nick and Billy. Thank you so much for your encyclopedia of parenting that you're building. You're always my go-to resource for anything challenging. We have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old, both boys. Our 1-year-old was a challenge to conceive and we needed lots of help. This gave us plenty of time to discuss what would happen when he finally arrived. From a dad's perspective, I think one of our biggest cliches is the mother instinct and you're just better at this than me attitude. It's not a magic thing that primary parents have, it's a skill gap. And the more you keep the cliche, the bigger the skill gap will grow. As the secondary carer, it's more important than anything else to lean into your weakness, change that nappy, take on bedtime, do the little wake-ups, the rocking, the singing, the teething gel, because your partner will have more opportunities and the skill gap will grow no matter what you do. Your job is just to stop at being a canyon when you feel useless. Plus, your partner will think you're awesome, get more sleep, and have more time for you eventually. So win-win. Thanks for reading this. You're both amazing and doing something that I think is the most important endeavour in the world, helping parents do better at parenting. I think it's just so cool how the dads have written in, like, just support mum. Like,
Yeah.
do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon that skill gap's one of the best ways I've heard it articulated. It is a skill gap.
Yeah.
I think, like,
But it's not like a
it's not insurmountable. No. But I think it's absolutely a skill gap. And I think, I think it's, well, I don't care. And people might react differently. Like, mums are, like, start with a few more skills, right?
Yeah.
They just start, typically, I think they start with more skills. But you can make them up.
Yeah, definitely. But once you learn that stuff around, like, just leaning in, connecting with them, copying them,
Yeah.
touching them, holding them, all that stuff. Yeah, totally. Anyway.
Hey guys, my kids are 3 and 5 now, so I wasn't sure an episode about the arrival of a baby would still feel relevant. But as you said, it was really nice reflecting on that time. I don't know. I haven't read this. I'm not sure if it's a happy or a sad. Sometimes I start these questions and I'm like, oh.
No, it's light. I just thought it'd be a nice one for you to read.
Yeah, okay, cool. Some advice I wish someone had told me would have been pretty simple. Sorry. Some advice I wish someone had told me is pretty simple. Funnily enough, it's advice my wife was saying at the time, but I just didn't let it sink in. The advice is that everything comes in stages, and sometimes that stage only lasts a month or two. It sounds obvious, but when you're deep in the weeds of an issue, it feels like that's your life forever. Amen. Whatever the challenge is, you assume you've now got a child who will never sleep, never eat properly, only want mum, or always have that particular habit that's driving you wild. But kids grow and change so quickly. Before you know it, the thing that felt overwhelming has disappeared and been replaced by something completely different. Looking back, you realise it's only really an issue for a few weeks. So essentially, when you're lying awake at 3 a.m, convinced you'll never sleep again, or wondering if your child will ever eat anything other than plain pasta, or feeling rejected because they only want mum, just remember, it's a stage. Next month, they might only want dad. They might suddenly sleep through the night. They might discover they love steak. This happened this week and made me so happy. They learn, develop, and move on far quicker than you think. At the time, every challenge feels permanent. In reality, most of them are fleeting. And a few months later, you'll often find yourself laughing about the thing that once felt like the biggest problem in the world. You guys are beautiful. Your relationship is beautiful. Keep up the good work.
Okay, last bit of advice, and then there's 2 reflections. Strap in, this is a long one. This is a beautiful one too. I'm a PEDS OT, occupational therapist, and when I tell you it's not my job, it's my identity. I decided at 12 years old and then hit the ground running.
Wow.
I consumed every book, podcast, and professional development opportunity I could find. I'd come home from a long day of work only to do more work. Heck, even most of my holidays have been spent working in special schools overseas. So when almost 2 decades after that decision I was expecting my first child, I could not have prepared more. People would comment on how easy the transition into parenthood must be for me. And so it all went perfectly, and turns out you just need to do 2 decades of solid research before you have a baby. Unfortunately, not quite how my story goes. It hit me hard. Even though I was pretty sure after my first lecture at uni, where they read the DSM-5 criteria for ADHD aloud, while I pissed an entire row of classmates off by shaking the interconnected seating by constantly jigging my leg, that I might have ADHD. I'd managed it my whole life. I'm an OT, and you better believe I'd created systems on systems to keep me at tip-top functioning capacity. Turns out I had exactly enough executive functioning for one human. And after my son was born, that human was not me. My son would have a perfectly packed, homemade, no sugar bento box, and I'd have forgotten breakfast or even pack myself a water bottle and be swinging by McDonald's at 3 p.m. after not eating all day. Also, another shocking news, babies, toddlers don't give two hoots about your perfectly curated systems. An official ADHD diagnosis later, and post-baby life was chaotic to say the least. Anyway, the advice. What I wish someone had told me before becoming a parent, and it gets a little dark but stay with me, is that your life as it was gets burnt to the ground, and I mean maximum crispy. That can feel overwhelming when you look around and all you see is ash. But if you look closely, you'll see little moments of regrowth that you'll recognise what used to be there sometimes doesn't work in your life anymore, but you can plant something new. So every day I look at my beautiful new life and I see what's new that's flourishing, and I let myself revel a little bit. Like today when my cautious little dude got halfway up the playground and then I see him stop and take a breath and say to himself, I am brave, and make it to the top. After that, with kind eyes, I take a moment and notice what needs tending to. Then instead of beating myself up about it and trying to will or shame it into growing better, is this metaphor thing still holding and pushing through for the sake of good old green thumb Nick? I think about what would grow in this particular spot and climate, and I make those changes. Does this mean I have an automatic 5-minute timer that triggers when I arrive home so that after unloading my son, I actually remember to go back for the shopping? Yes, it does. I could see that as ridiculous, or feel incompetent because I've left the milk or the wet swimmers on the back seat again. Or I can add in some support and marvel at the fact that I got so completely lost in a game of hide and seek with a watered dinosaur that all sense of time and space went out the window. A water dinosaur, for the record, is not a dinosaur that lives in water. It's a dinosaur that shoots you with water, obviously. Also, Loop earplugs. Love your work. I think Loop earplugs come up again, and they are not an official sponsor. They've come up a lot, especially from the beautiful neurodivergent community. But we need to be connected with them. Sorry, you actually have one more bit of advice.
Yeah, I know. I thought so. I wasn't sure if you were advice. Hi, Nick and Billy. Love your podcast. I've been listening for quite a while, but this is the first time writing in. I've had two very different experiences with the arrival of a new baby. When our first arrived, we felt so unprepared. All the courses and information I received focused on pregnancy and birth, and I hadn't had hardly any exposure to babies, so it was a shock. My advice for new parents would be to build your village. Set up a meal train with friends and family. Find great professionals you might need and read up about settling, sleep and feeding. Luckily, I found a great lactation consultant who was so much more than that for me. She helped me understand what the baby's cries were. For example, it hadn't occurred to me that maybe the baby was bored and needed a new stimulating environment, so we'd go for a walk, or that the baby needs had changed as he grew older and needed more time awake, for example. Then when our second came along, the challenges were more with our 4-year-old. He really struggled with the loss of attention, which I hadn't understood was the problem at the time. He'd had a bit of anxious behaviour simmering away that never really affected him until our second child came along. His anxiety increased and he started showing aggressive behaviour that we'd never seen before. He would scream and hit adults around him. He started a new anxious tic. He started wetting himself at preschool, later started biting the baby, and when he started at a new preschool, he would bite the other children. There were tantrums, hurting the grandparents' dog, nightmares, wild energy, and extremely aggressive language, both aggressive words in play, which is still constant, but also saying violent things he wanted to do to his baby brother, even though he absolutely adored him. My husband and I were at a loss in the world. All this behaviour was new. He was an absolute delight up until then. We saw a child psychologist who said the behaviours were a nervous system overload due to a build-up of separations. Our 4-year-old was born 5 weeks early and spent the first 2 weeks of their life in special care. We had moved house the the year baby came, brought a new car, got rid of his dummy and started at a new preschool. So then the new sibling, which came with many separations from me, mum, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Also, the baby was diagnosed
With laryngomalacia.
and reflux, which made it hard for him to sleep because of the congestion. He was very unsettled for a long time. So this took even more of our attention away from our 4-year-old. We're still seeing some of these behaviours, like the wild energy, aggressive words in play, very defined. Every little thing feels like a battle at the moment. His baby brother is now 11 months old, but it's a huge improvement. I've attempted to spend more quality one-on-one time with him as regularly as I can and attempted to change the tone in our family, showing more love and play, which may be what he needed, which may be what has helped. We've also simplified things with less activities that cause him to feel uncomfortable. We still feel like we're in the thick of it. We can't really leave our 4-year-old alone with the baby together for a second. We have to be right there with them because the 4-year-old is still too rough and the wild energy is triggering for me, so I'm needing lots of help from family. If you have any tips on this phase, we'd love that, but we may just need to keep going as we are until we're through this tricky phase. Thanks for everything you do, guys.
We'll talk to that more in some future stuff because it's a really important thing that seems to keep coming up. But let's do sort of reflections.
Reflections. Okay.
This one's a cracker.
I'm up.
You'll love this.
Note, hi, if you choose to read this, I know you anonymise everything, but I give you permission to include my first name in the line below. I've been holding that line for a while now. Heineken Billy. Hi, Dr. Nick and Dr. Billy. My name is Mick and I'm a developing grandparent. Close on 12 months ago, my beautiful grandson was born in Melbourne, and over the last year, I have had the privilege of watching his amazing development, albeit sometimes on FaceTime as we juggle the separation between Melbourne and Brisbane. As a grandparent, I am grateful to have the time when we are together to be 100% with him, to watch, serve and return with him, be led by him. Grandparents' privilege is not having the pressure that young parents have, how they have to always be thinking about what is next. What does the future hold? While also having the pressure to work hard, build a career or future. A few months later at a 60th party, a good mate mentioned the PCP podcast, telling me that he learns a lot from what it would have parented. He'd learned a lot and would have parented differently had it been around. I jumped into the podcast at episode 120, Hope and Arrival.
Love that.
And I have been hooked ever since. Like many listeners, I've listened to the back catalogue and have pretty much caught up now, and I share the podcast with people I meet. In episode 88, you two joked about still doing the podcast when you're grandparents. I chuckled at that. For me, it's as if you have been. I've been listening along in the car, in the shed and so on, thinking about and learning about my grandson's development, his milestones, when to worry, his sleep routines, his developing and evolving interactions, his serves and returns and so on in every episode. His mother, my daughter, is a nurse in a children's hospital in Melbourne. I've heard it's one of the biggest tertiary paediatric hospitals in the Southern Hemisphere. Oh, and she's also a big fan now. Although as a young mother, she probably doesn't have the time to listen that I do. She was thrilled to message me that Dr. Billy works at my hospital. In another of my roles, I'm privileged to be a principal of a primary school in southeast Queensland with great staff, great kids and great community. We're not the most complex school, but we certainly have our share. Some neurodivergent kids, some with trauma backgrounds, some with delayed development in one or more areas, some with gaps in emotional and social development and so on. As well as helping me understand my beautiful grandson, your pod informs me just about every day in my work with kids and teachers. I like to think that I'm quite good at supporting struggling kids, but I think now I do it better. So much of your advice, high demand, high warmth, parenting style, sensitivity, responsiveness, predictability, safety, and many more have worked their way into my work with children, teachers, and families. I've not admitted this to anyone, but I often find when working with kids who are struggling or supporting parents or teachers, I'm thinking to myself, what would Billy Garvey do? What would Billy say? It's as if I've got this mini Billy sitting like a shadow on shoulder. A principal whisperer, if you will. You've helped me be a better principal, and I'm sure I will be a better poppy, if that's what the child decides to call me. Thanks to you. I'm so grateful to you both for the podcast. Every compliment you receive is well and truly deserved. You are making a positive difference to so many of us in every podcast. In The Incredibles, Arrival of a Baby episode, you asked for reflections for the PCP community. I'm hesitant because so many of the beautiful PCP community share with so much vulnerability and courage, personal stories that are so much more complex than mine. They're truly inspirational. But if I did have any poppy wisdom to share, it would be this. As a father of 4, now adult children, I do remember, and the pod often brings it back to me, how terrified I was that I was absolutely stuffing things up for them every day. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing as a parent, and even now I think of the stuff-ups and near misses that I got away with so many times, and some that I didn't get away with but have to live with. Remember, people, I was learning to parent without a podcast. I recognise now, though, that was doing my best and parenting the way I had learnt it. Hopefully learning and reflecting and perhaps a bit better than my parents. Despite all this, my children are now grown into 4 of the most beautiful, generous, intelligent, critical thinking young people that I could have dreamt of. Probably helps that they have a brilliant and beautiful mother who was and still is always tuned into their needs. Some people say things like, the best part of being a grandparent is that you get to hand them back. I think that's bullshit. Rather, I think the best thing about being a grandparent is the incredible optimism that comes from knowing that this amazing baby kid, young person is going to be great. I look at my grandson and the young family unit that he is in with my daughter and son-in-law. The family unit will grow, learn, stumble, bounce back, and know his future will be amazing. To the amazing PCP community, I know that my children are going to be better parents than I was, and that's okay. And I know you will be better than, and I know you will be better than you think you will. Your kids will one day turn out to be the people who show the world what great parents are. Thanks, Billy and Nick, for all you do. Love the episode and love the movie. Looking forward to more. Take care.
I thought he'd like that one.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the stuff I'm worried about,
Yeah, mate.
maybe I don't need to worry about.
Yeah. Still do the pod. I still need you.
So this is the last step I'm doing.
yeah. So, guys, that's it for the back catalogue. Enjoy it.
Oh, how good was he?
Yeah, I just thought it was amazing. It came through really late as well. And the hardest thing is all the ones we weren't able to include. And also, I feel a little bit arrogant and full of myself, like including the bits and not cutting them out, whereas like, you know, the principal whisperer or people complimenting stuff, but I just read it verbatim. We'd normally change names, but because he specifically said...
Developing grandparent Mick.
Anyway, the last one. Okay. And this has a bit of like, you know, about me in it, but I just thought the first part of it's pretty amazing.
Go for it.
Dear Dr. Billy and Dr. Nick, thank you for the amazing guidance you're providing us parents. I'm so thankful to have found your podcast that has completely changed my parenting journey and has given me valuable insights into my own childhood. Today marks the year anniversary of my mum passing away after a long, hard-fought battle with cancer. Holding her hand as she took her last breath while breastfeeding my 6-month-old at the same time was a surreal and full circle of life moment that I've often reflected on. You talk about the shift in ourselves from pre-kids to parents, but I think there are many moments of development, refinement, shedding of what no longer serves us, to grow into the person that we want or need to be for the next phase of life. In the past, with my grief being ever present, I've never felt more overwhelmed, overstimulated, or more at capacity in my life, while simultaneously having moments of being proud of myself for my growth during this full, chaotic, busy stage of my life. You spoke about self-kindness and self-compassion in your PCP neurodivergent guide recently, and despite having a wonderful husband and incredible support network in friends and family, I found that those small acts of self-kindness, things I would do to recharge, even just a little, were needed and helpful. But the more sustaining piece was finding some space for self-compassion. It took a while to get there and doesn't come naturally, but this has been one of my biggest learnings. I've been my own biggest critic in my grief. I felt like I haven't cried enough, haven't wallowed enough, haven't done acts of service in her honour enough. However, I'm also working and raising 3 big personality, boisterous, adorable, all-consuming boys, 1.5 years, 3 years and 7-year-olds, which doesn't leave much time or space for grief. You asked each other what you wish you were told before becoming a parent or through these transitions, so I wanted to share my thoughts. When you find yourself challenged at your wit's end or having a hard time, ask yourself, would you talk to your friend the way you're talking to yourself right now? Would you talk to Nick with the level of criticism that you give to your own performance? When I have a moment to reflect like this, it literally stops all that self-doubt or down-talk in its tracks. Because the answer is no. I would never talk to anyone else the way I do myself sometimes. It's in this self-compassion that I wish I'd been told to have, then told again and again when going through any transition, new baby or not. It's having the space and grace to make mistakes and to know you'll learn from them, really just giving yourself permission to be human. And for those that find themselves overstimulated with sounds like me, loops, small earplugs that allow you to hear everything and respond, but take off the top threshold of noise, have been a lifesaver. I have far more capacity and patience with these in. It's really meant to connect with that company. Finally, I feel like I need and want to say this. Billy, it's not selfish to create something for the greater good. It's not selfish to do something that's therapeutic for yourself whilst also benefiting others. As you say, 2 things can be true. Selfishness is something that you take and keep for yourself, which is the exact opposite of what you're creating with PCP and your greater, broader endeavours. So please, and I say this with kindness and compassion, leave the selfish talk out of it. Thank you for everything you do. I know I've benefited immensely, and my biggest hope is my kids reap the rewards of my learnings too. Yeah, far out. Yeah, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Yeah, what an amazing mum. And yeah, it's probably not appropriate to go into in depth here, but there's a reason I'm doing this, and it's a need in me that's really just been damaged, and it's something that I don't even know if I'll ever recover from, but this helps, this helps keep me wanting to go, and it has a similar thing I talked about last time, that identity of being a dad and just doing something really cool. So that's why it's just such a privilege. We had as we always say, we can only repeat, we can only read out 1-2% of what comes through, but it's just amazing. Thanks for sending it. It's such a different episode. It was so much about just giving.
So much advice.
It was so much. It's funny because one of the shorts was where's the community gone? And I'm there it is.
Yeah.
All these people sat down and spent time articulating, and there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds we couldn't read out, and they were all a similar message of hope, of honesty, but hope. And I just thought that was so cool, and some really cool practical stuff in there as well. So
yeah, it was great. I'm still thinking about the grandfather.
Yeah, I know. It
feels really good.
Yeah. That came in late last night. There's so many that come through. And the problem is people will send through so many now. You've just got to get them in as soon as you can. We read every single thing that comes through.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I sort of go, I wonder what, some of the older folks, not the person's only 60, 15 years old. My siblings are getting close to 60, but you go, I wonder what grandparents think of the pod in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's really funny. I was in
what do they think about it?
Yeah, I was in a big mag recently. I can't remember. I don't think it was Women's Day because we met the Women's Day person. It's really cool. But no, No, it was something else that I wish I could remember it. That's so bad. I'll share it on socials when it comes out. And it was about the duality of grandparents and being like, and I won't burn more time here, but it was like, it's such an interesting thing that's often comes from a negative experience, like tell grandparents to back off, or like, you know, grandparents drive me crazy, or grandparents saying like, I wish they'd just listen to me. And it was just like, it's such a beautiful panacea to that, of just like a granddad writing in and being like, this is what I think. This is
Being
what
open-minded and learning. God, incredible.
Yeah.
Loved it, Billy.
Amazing.
Fun app.
Clue for the next movie. Got anything? No. Actually, your pick.
Next bit sore. Yeah.
However many movies we've done. We got anything? 2 big actors we haven't been in anything we've done yet.
Yeah.
One exceptional one. What do you?
I just gave a bit of a clue, but anyway.
Okay. Yes, you did. I didn't even catch it. I was almost going to say that's not a clue.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, we'll see.
Okay. All right. Enjoy, guys.
Hey, don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I don't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. I don't want to see anybody else either.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Just use your best judgment. We trust you.